Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is your host, Larry Lou, and this is T3 Podcast, Transformation Through Truth, because that's the only way that we are going to be able to become better today than we were yesterday. So, I want to talk to you today about virtue. There's two kinds. There's two kind of virtues that I want to first let you know. One of the virtues are intellectual, and the other one is moral. Okay, so you have intellectual virtue and you have moral virtue. Intellectual virtue comes by way of teaching. Okay, you can be taught intellectual virtue, and it can even come by way of experience. But that's not the one we're going to talk about today, but I wanted to make that distinction just so you are aware. What I want to talk about today is moral virtue. So what is virtue, essentially? And what it is a excellence of character is how I see it. It is embodying characteristics and qualities, attributes that make you a better person, that make you more easily accepted as far as people may want to be around you because you bring them joy. You know, you may bring them peace, right? So those virtues that I will discuss, and there's like discipline, courage, and strength, and, you know, even gratitude is a virtue. Now, the difference with moral virtues as opposed to intellectual virtues is that moral virtues come by a way of not teaching. You can't teach moral virtues. You can't teach discipline. You can talk about it. You can give a definition. But it's only going to come by way of doing. Moral virtues is only going to come about by doing. So they don't come naturally. That's very important to know. They don't come naturally. They are acquired. It's kind of like when someone says to you, I'm an acquired taste. Like that individual probably wasn't liked by somebody at first, or, you know, somebody was probably turned off by him, but they grew to like him. They grew to see, you know, the benefit of maybe having that individual around. Or we know with food, some of us didn't like a certain type of food, and then down the road we come to, you know, like, oh, you know, this is okay. And then eventually like, oh, I love it. You know, it didn't come naturally. It just wasn't automatic. It was acquired. And so once you acquire a virtue, you have to keep it up. You have to keep doing it. And you do these by your actions, right? And once your actions have taken on a virtue, all right, you did something to take on this discipline. You said no to something, even though you may have wanted it really bad, right? So, but now you took action to make it stronger. You have to keep doing it. So now it has to become a habit. So now it has to be done over and over and over again. It has to be repeated. So moral virtues comes by way of an act, but then it has to be repeated in order for it to become a habit. Someone may turn down a drink because they're trying to display self-control, right? Trying to display self-control. But the next two times they go out, they just drinking away. one time doesn't create or in one time doesn't embody you with that virtue. Okay, so again, so how is virtue come about? So I just gave you an example of self-control. Of discipline. So discipline is self-control. Talk discipline. Everybody, a lot of people, I need discipline. I need discipline. And so being in a situation where you don't have control, okay, being in a situation where you might not be as strong in controlling yourself is only going to be able to prove to you that you do have self-control. Now, I'm not saying you need to test yourself and go be around, go to a smorgasbord if you just love meat and you trying to stop eating meat and be like, okay, I'm about to test myself, and you ain't, never did it before. It might be too much for you. It's possible. But hopefully you can build up to that. So if we talking about discipline and self-control, it has to be according to it varies between strengths and weaknesses, where some people are just naturally, one way or another, and some things just they're not as sensitive to, or it just doesn't bother them as much as it may someone else. In that area, they are pretty strong. In that area, though, in that same area, you might be weak, and that's fine. So it's going to vary between strengths and weaknesses. But if you're talking about having discipline and having that self-control, in order to prove that you are becoming stronger in that, you will have to be in situations that will trigger you. That will trigger you. And like I say, so eating. A lot of people want to, let's say, eat better, eat healthier. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But at home, they're fine. At home, they're fine. They don't have the temptation at home. They've developed the self-control to maybe not buy those certain things and bring them in the house. But when they go out to eat and they with their friends, they're drinking and having dessert and all of this, they just, well, you know what? I'll just have one drink. Oh, yeah, well, just I'm just going to get this dessert this one time. And this one time turns into 20 because every time you go out, you fall prey to your own impulses and you can't control them. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. But there will come a time where you will have to perform that act of saying, no, thank you. I'm okay. That's the act. Now you're creating that virtue of discipline and self-control. Once you do that, you are now creating that act, creating that virtue. And when you go out the second time, third time, fourth time, now you have, and if you do the same thing, no, thank you, I'm okay. Now you're starting to create that habit. See, the one thing that we need to understand is that with virtues, you can only learn to do them by doing them. See, some things that we need to learn to do, we can only learn by doing. And virtues are one of those things. Working out. Whether you get up in the morning and work out, or maybe you go right after work. You have that takes discipline. That takes discipline. It is not easy to get up in the morning, get out that warm bed when you can get an extra hour and a half sleep before you go to work, and get up and get on that bike or lift those weights or do some yoga or cardio, whatever it is. That's not easy to do. especially for the first time. And what's even harder is doing it for that maybe third, fourth, fifth time. Because the first time you kind of motivated and you excited and that can carry you. But after a while, that excitement is going to wear off. I think I seen a commercial or something where they say like, you know, people's New Year's resolution, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks after, is called quit day or something like that because people quit. So that excitement is only going to carry you so far. After that, you need that virtue of discipline and self-control. That's what you're going to need to be able to leave work every day and go to the gym. Courage. Now, I seen this quote that I will read to you, and I'm going to read it, and I want to make sure I get it right, because I've never seen it before, and it kind of just really hit me. And the quote says that the saddest thing in life is that the best thing in it, the saddest thing in life is that the best thing in it should be courage. What that says to me is that as good as courage is, it's painful. It's painful. Now, as I look at courage, and I seen, read a lot of definitions and things like this, but what I see courage as, and the experience that I have, the things that I've been through, and what I hear other people talk about, courage to me is simply the ability to persevere. And what perseverance means is this. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this and listen to this, because I think this is very powerful. To continue in a course of action, even in the face of difficulty or with a little or no prospect of success. With little or no prospect of success. Do you know how hard it is to continue on a path where the fruits of your labor seems like it's never going to happen? They're never going to grow. Where you're not reaping what you're sowing. And continue on. That's very difficult to do. I tip my hat off to people who have done it. And you hear stories about, people who just believed and they dreams manifested. Things seemed difficult, but they persevered. That takes a lot of courage. Now, again, they were not born with it. They just persevered. They stayed on the course until it happened. And it's scary. It really is. But that's why it takes courage. You have to have that courage, and you have to go forth in spite of feeling that fear. Talking to a young man, and he wants to learn how to, I shouldn't say learn, but he wants to become more knowledgeable. He wants to have more of an understanding of what's going on in the world, why he does the things that he does, and that's noble. His problem is that every time he gets the urge to go study or read or, crack a book, he says he gets irritated. And it almost kind of just, it frustrates him. And he just said he just doesn't want to do it. So what does he do? He goes and he plays the game. And now he's happy. Until the next time he feels like, he wants to read and or go on the internet, read an article, or just learn, he gets irritated. He gets agitated. He doesn't want to do it. And what's interesting is that he said he feels like he's fighting a demon. And if you know anything about chakras, in the 7 chakras, those 7 levels, in each level, there is a demon. They call it a demon that tries to prevent you from developing that part of the chakra. So I just thought it was interesting that he used the word demon. But that's what I would consider it as. You know, we always talk about, I got to get this, you know, I'm fighting my demons and stuff. You hear people talk like that. So he feel like he has this demon, and so he can't, you know, bring himself to crack a book and just read a paragraph. He just can't seem to do it. And then on top of that, he says, even if I get to the book or open my phone and start, you know, learning and reading, you know, articles that I might be interested in or that I want to know about, you know, I'm not going to understand it. He says that. I'm not going to understand it. So this frustrates him even more. So on top of not wanting to do it, if he does it, he's not going to understand it. So in his mind, why bother? But he says he wants this knowledge and this understanding. So he has multiple battles. And if you're talking about developing the virtue of courage, the first thing he needs to do is act. That's the first battle. It's just acting, cracking that book, that phone, and instead of scrolling social media or playing the game, he needs to look up things that he's interested in and get the knowledge and the understanding, which would be the second thing. But he has to first at least attempt. Soon as that action is taken, you have created that virtue. You've created that power within you. You've created the act of going on your phone, finding the topic, nothing else. That's a feat in itself. So after that, you're going to have to, or when you start reading, you're going to have to look up the words and find out what they mean, and, you know, so you can get an understanding, because that's the whole point. That's the second step. But if you get up, or when you feel the need, the urge, or the thought, when it comes and you just act in the manner of cracking that book, you are creating that virtue. And more you do it, you are creating that habit. You are acquiring courage. Because it's just not going to come with you just saying I want it or because you thought it, right? You have to acquire it through action. It's the only way. So if he does that, and he does the other things, as far as once he reads, he's looking up the words and this and that. Okay, yeah, more courage is coming. I'm gonna do this. But here's the biggest issue. He can't even get started because he thinks about all that, thinks about looking up the words and he, you know, knowing that he doesn't understand it. And that inner critic that we all have is talking. It's talking all that hyperbole, all that nonsense. You don't even know the words. You're not even smart enough to know that word. Everybody know that word. Didn't you learn anything? And now you start to feel incompetent. And might I say, you start to feel stupid. And that causes pain. But remember, like I told you, pain is a part of life, especially in growth. Especially in growth. But the other problem is, on top of the problem we already have, is that we naturally run away from pain. We run towards pleasure. Oh, he run to that game. It don't take no real thought, no real action, no real nothing with that. That's just joyous. Just something he do. He loves it. He don't even think about it. But reading a book, reading a chapter, reading a paragraph, oh, that brings up all kind of pain. Irritability, stress. So I'm naturally like, I'm straight on that. But this is natural. So that's why we have to overcome this with the action of doing. Because we don't want to do it. But some of the things that are most useful to us are painful. And on the flip side, some of the things that are not that useful to us are very pleasurable. This is life. Such is life. All virtues just about, I can't really think of one that is just not going to involve some type of pain. If you're talking about having it for real. And so, if he does these 2 steps, he creates these habits, he strengthens this courage for the next time around. Every time he does it and create this habit, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And to the point where he has slayed that demon. He slayed it. To the point now he gets up and, oh, this ain't nothing. I'm about to go read this book. I'm about to go read this article. Or I'm about to go get up and work out. I'm at the restaurant with my friends. No, thank you. No, I'm good. Over time, habit. Not just one time and that's a wrap and I got it. No, it don't work like that. This is an acquired characteristic. Gratitude. And you talk about gratitude. Now, it's not a whole lot that I found with gratitude. I mean, we all instinctively kind of know what it is, being thankful. But I think it's even a lot more to it than that. And I found this one article, and in it said that gratitude was recognizing that one has obtained a positive outcome. And recognizing that there is an external source for this positive outcome. And to me, basically what that means is this. If a person never does anything else for you in life, what had they done for you in the past that you should be thankful of? And I thought about that. And as much as me and my son's mother, and I used to hate this woman. I did. I used to hate this woman. She put me through the ringer. Ain't never felt nothing like that in my life. But we cool now. And the one thing that I always bring to mind is that I was very, very sick one day, a long time ago. And I went to the doctor, and my eyes, I had to have sunglasses because of the light. My head was just, the pain. Oh my God. And they didn't know if what I had was contagious. So we came back home, and we happened to be visiting my mom's at the time. Came back to my mom's house, and I went in the room and just went to bed. And I was hot, had a fever, like all this kind of stuff. And even though she didn't know if what I had was contagious, she crawled up in the bed and she laid on my chest. And she said, I did it because I just needed to know if you got worse, what it is that I needed to do. I didn't want to not know. So she took the risk of getting whatever it is that I might have had that nobody knew. And that's no knock against, my wife now, just so people know. But I'm just saying, the gratitude is missing. Anybody who has came in your life and did something for you, whether they continually doing something now, you should be thankful for. You should have gratitude towards. Because maybe you wouldn't be here. Maybe you wouldn't be in the situation you in if it wasn't for them. In spite of what the relationship might be right now. But that's a painful lesson. Knowing that what this person done to you, and still be able to say, I'm thankful for her. I'm thankful for him. Oh, that ain't easy. But this is how we acquire virtue. This is how we acquire excellence of character. And it's not just about knowing the definition, knowing what it is. The whole purpose is to change behavior so that we can be better today than we were yesterday, so that we can be better tomorrow than we are today. It's not to be able to just run off, well, this is what this mean, and this is what this said, and, I like this because of this. I mean, that's fine. But how is it affecting your life? Is it affecting your life in a positive way? That's what we really should be focused on. So again, there are things, namely moral virtues, that we can only learn by doing. That's it. That's how we learn how to become excellence in our character. There's no other way around it. It is painful sometimes, but the benefit is worth it. You talk about your self-development, and sometimes it may look like you being selfish for, wanting to take an extra class or wanting to do this for yourself, and somebody might have to miss out. That's fine, because in actuality, if it's all about self-development, it not only helps you, it helps everybody around you. You're a better individual. You may have the answers that they need. You may make them even just a lot more happier being around you. So it's not just for you, it's for everybody. That's one of the greatest gifts that you can give somebody, is self-development. T3. Larry Lou, elevation is in order. Peace.